He wowed them at the CPAC conference yesterday, and I hope he's going to wow us today, because Larry Kudlow is with us right now. All right, Larry, I'm going to say that you are the administration's attack dog. No, I'll rephrase that. You are the point man going after socialism. Now, what's your line of attack? Because free stuff, free this, free that, is very popular amongst millennials. How do you attack that?
Well, look, I think the first thing to do is be very specific. I want to put socialism and all of this, Green New Deal stuff, I want to put it pen and pencil. I want to make sure people understand what the cost is. So let's put socialism on trial. Let's challenge it and rebut it specifically, and then let us convict it. We've got to stop this before it destroys the economy and destroys the whole country. As far as the millennials go, again, I think they will listen to reason. They always have. Those millennials who are working will understand how the world works, who pays the taxes, how businesses operate. I noticed the Fox poll. I was doing this a week or two back here, and the vast majority of people that were polled favored capitalism over socialism. It was like 2-to-1, as I recall. So I think we have to just put it on trial, put socialism on trial, challenge, rebut, put pen and pencil to paper. I got some staggering numbers here, and then just convict it before it destroys America.
I want to ask you about China trade. Can we get a deal with China that is more than just they buy a couple of $100 billion worth of stuff from us? Can it really get into the nitty-gritty? Can we get a deal like that?
Well, we got it. By the way, are we done with socialism? I'm crushed. I mean, we got it.
I'll get back to it at the end, but I want to get you on record on trade, because that's very much in the news.
Well, it's look, we made so much progress last week when the Chinese were here. It started very slowly. Bob Lighthizer really lit a fire under it. Thursday, Friday, they extended the talks to Saturday and Sunday, and really, whatever it is, 120, 140 pages, the agreements made last week represent tremendous progress on IP theft, on forced technology transfer, on ownership, on cyber interference, and maybe most importantly, on enforcement. Some very smart, clever things put together by Ambassador Lighthizer on enforcement. Now, that was agreed to by Vice Premier Liu He and his deputies, and Bob Lighthizer and Steve Mnuchin and our deputies. What remains to be seen, Stuart, is whether the President Xi and the Chinese Politburo will okay it. We don't know that yet. But what we have is vastly greater than just buying some soybeans. Trust me on this. It's virtually a revolution in American-Chinese trade. It could be a historical breakthrough, and I'm going to play this one on the optimistic side.
Are we moving towards a summit in Mar-a-Lago later this month?
A lot of talk about that. It's not quite buttoned down yet, but yes, I think you can expect that with President Xi and President Trump in Mar-a-Lago. Again, it has not yet been buttoned down. That's the thought. Those two leaders, that maybe they're going to be the ones to sign and seal this. For example, on some enforcement issues, we have a multi-layered enforcement process. If we see that China is violating, we will be raising tariffs according to this process, and the process permits us to do so, and they won't be. I think that's a very clever approach, probably the most inventive thing I've seen. We don't know if China will sign on to that, so maybe the two leaders will have to figure that out, and that will be the end of it. But I got to tell you, I don't think people understand how much progress was made last week. Even things, ownership. Well, in the financial services and other areas, ownership, which has been for the Chinese, now that's going to shift to American companies operating in China. That lowers the chances of a technology transfer. Currency stability and transparency for any currency interventions. All these things were tied up in the so-called structural issues. So you'll get the commodities. They're going to open the door. And if they do, America's export sales will soar. We're the most competitive economy in the world, but the structural changes will give us the kind of free and fair and reciprocal trade that President Trump has encouraged and fought hard for. And by the way, I got to tell you, as the free trader in the building, one thing Mr. Trump has taught me, tariffs are part of the trade discussion, and tariffs can be very effective in negotiations, sometimes you have to use them. And I think in this case with China, the tariff strategy has worked.
Real fast, very short question. Did it help when President Trump walked away from the summit with Kim Jong-un?
Well, look, I think as he has explained, he didn't get what he wanted. And he has a very clear vision. I'm not an expert on this, but he wants the denuclearization in its entirety, not just in